go check them. Yeah, it's a noisy kitchen. Okay, let's see. Why does it look dark though? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hello, welcome to my cake kitchen. I'm Gladys. Over here, I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. Let me just try and fix this camera very quickly, people. Okay, there you go. Okay. I don't know what's happened to the lighting. I can't seem to fix it. It's annoying me. I'll probably have a look later when we are done from the live, and hopefully it should be better next time. What are we doing? Well, we have this cake to cover, but I'm going to have to trim this cake first. I didn't intend to trim it, so we're going to do that, and then we can crumb coat it. I'm not sure how much time we have to do this, but if you're just joining us, great to have you, and thank you for stopping by. Oh, as always, it's cake. Right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a tray. I'm just looking for a way to make this a little bit easier. And so, do I feel like I've got this better? Oh, no. I think I need to. Oh. Bear with me. Oh, I have a whole light in my hand. Oh, this is not what I bargained for, really. This is really annoying. Just trying to get my blade sharper so that I can get better results from it. So let's go back and see if it will do. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yep, I had to sharpen the knife just so that I can get better results. So never mind. Oh, it feels like we're sawing off cake, but it's not. We're just trying to take bits off to even the surface so that we can get better results from when we cover the cake. That's all I'm doing. Because when you bake your cake layer, sometimes they are not all equal and you have bulges on the side. So all I'm trying to do is just rid of those, and probably also rid of the brown crust. It's not something I like very much. It's a preference thing. Do you have to? No, but I want to get rid of it. That's why. So we've got that. And a good tip, as always, is dip this in hot water. Make sure your knife is sharp. And just... Dawn is back. Dawn is back. Dawn, we're eating cake. Honey, how are you? We're back. Okay, so just trying to shave off. Ganache is here. Oh, Dawn, I saved an interesting story for you. You need to come to the front of the class because Dawn, I tried to do my nails. Honey, I didn't feel like I wanted to, like, I was so stressed that day I couldn't be asked to take a photo, but you were literally in my head when I was doing that. I'll tell you the story in a minute. It is hilarious. Okay? Because I told you, I like a bit of beauty treatment. Okay? I like a bit of like, let's look good when we can. Let's go look good to feel good. Okay? But I don't like spending the money. Not because I'm tight. I just don't have much of it to throw away. Add that trouble to the fact that when I have my nails done, sometime when I'm preparing to get on a live on some regular Tuesday, it pops. And I'm like, now I've got to go and make an appointment with my nail tech. And sometimes you go and you don't have an appointment or you have to queue. I just realized that I don't have the convenience of looking consistently good all the time. I don't, because especially when you're on camera. So you've seen me over here with my cheeky nails that have popped. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to try and do my own nails. So I went and I shopped for the goods, my dear. I had myself the little, what is it called? That light, the little light that you put your hands underneath. Look, I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, and that's because I don't know. But I went and I shopped for all those things, honey. Okay? All those things you would think. After all the years of having my nails done at the nail tech. Except I had to learn what they call, is it Gel X nails? Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and try and do acrylic myself. I'm not, okay? So I thought, let me get the closest to the acrylic, that thing. I know what a nail dehydrator is. I know how to cleanse the nail. I even have the file, the electric one and everything. Last week, Sunday. I got up. I had a very long day. It was one of those days where you wake up and you don't feel like you want to do anything. Okay? So I thought, I'm going to try and feel good. So let me get my stuff together. If you came and saw how I put them together, you will think I'm a nail tech. Went through the whole motion, filed my nails, followed all the instructions. Tell me why. After more than 4 hours of doing that thing, because the 4 hours also includes using my non-dominant hand for the other hand, which wasn't child's play. Tell me why by morning, after one round of washing up, the whole set, like my nails, okay, when I put them all on, the ones I put on when they were these nude white tipped ones. You know what? If I care, I will post it on the community post, because I've told you that now that I don't feel like I'm creating content for the sake of creating content, we're going to have fun. So when I come to it, I'll post some photos over there for some of the stuff that I have. Tell me why. First of all, I woke up in the morning and I don't know who attacked me in my sleep. 2 were gone and I hadn't even done anything. I literally went to bed. I went to bed, woke up, and the nails 2 were gone. This had popped, and I think that had popped. So this and that had popped. And this had 3. It looked like, you know, when you see a child's toothless grin and it's uneven and you're like, what is that? That's my nails. They look like a toothless grin. And by the first round of washing up, that popped. And I thought, hell no. So you know what? I literally stood by the washing up and without much effort pressed them out and it all fell out. And I was like, Dawn, you need to come and explain yourself. You need to come and explain how you keep those fancy nails. Because I failed. But I'm not giving up. So we're going to go back to doing them. Not yet though. Not yet. So yeah, that's my trouble. So those of you who can do your own nails, come, Dawn, I know you do them and you do them real good. Real good. So please. Yeah, I think the glue was the problem. Because after they popped so easily, and the proof was in the pudding, because when I washed up and the rest popped and I wanted to kind of rid of the last bit of it, I didn't have to use anything. I literally just put my nails under the water, let hot water run on it, and then I kind of pressed them out and they came out. So then it told me that they hadn't stuck on properly anyway, and that the glue was probably a little more temporary. So I'm going to need Dawn to help me out on this one properly another time. But yeah, it was too early in the morning. I was in my pajamas. I was so annoyed and frustrated with myself. So I couldn't be bothered to take a photo and send it to you. But I was just thinking, the entire time I was doing my nails, I was thinking about you. I'm like, I'm going to get my nails done and I'm going to go tell Dawn. It didn't work, did it? So there we are. So I'm probably going to have to, if you have some recommended glue, let me know. But I think, I don't know if I really, because since I stopped getting the set done, I have enjoyed having my own hands and fingers without the nail. I mean, the long nails are good. I love them, okay? I'm not even pretending. I love them. But I have also enjoyed being able to pick my own skin and scratch myself and have a feel of my skin, because when you have nails you can't even scratch your ear properly when you're feeling like, oh, you can't. So I don't know if I really am desperate to go, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's my nail fail story you didn't ask for. Okay, there's a little fly running around in my kitchen that is annoying me. It is really doing my head in. Let's have this. I'll send it to you now when I get to it, because I have everything I need in a... I have everything organized. I'll send them to you. But I don't think the glue worked. I don't think the glue was my very helpful thing. So perhaps I need a stronger set of glue. But yeah, that is me and nail. But how are you, my darlings? How are you all keeping? I hope everybody's keeping well. It's been a little while since I was last here, but it's great to be back. YouTube is YouTubing, isn't it? I've told you, we are not going to be complaining about YouTube again. We are not. Let YouTube do its thing and let us live here. Let YouTube do its thing and let us live here and accept what YouTube does. Because I am not going to waste another day in my life complaining about YouTube at all. Oh, my lamp may not be strong enough. You might be onto the money on this one, because if I told you where I got that lamp from, it might probably be the problem. So who knows? I'll send you all of it anyway when I can, my dad. Let's go and crumb coat this cake. This is just leftover ganache. The cake is supposed to be pink, but I have this ganache left over, so I'm going to just use it. And then we'll come back. Still crumb coating. What day is today? Today is what? Thursday, right? How is the weather wherever you are, people? Tabitha is not here. She probably doesn't know we are back, and YouTube hasn't notified her. I know Lollipop left a comment about not being notified about being here. So hopefully all of you, if you weren't notified and you're catching up a little later, sorry, YouTube is such a disappointment lately, but I hope you enjoy the replay. Okay, people? Thank you for stopping by, though. Always lovely to have your support and to have you here. Okay. Now, let's... Okay. Right. There we have it. All right. There we are. We are going to have to leave this cake to chill completely. And then we will then cover it in full-on pink ganache. So I'm going to let this set and then we'll get the ganache out and then prep it. What I don't know is whether this is going to set enough for us to be able to cover it, but we'll still be here nonetheless. So let's go put that in the fridge. I'll be back shortly. Dawn is asking if, yes, Dawn, this is an order cake. Okay. So, what we've used is gone. So if you don't know anything about ganache, here's the ganache we made. I have showed you how to make ganache already. So if you are just finding this video on replay and you want to know how to make this ganache, it is already up in long form. It's a mixture of white chocolate and cream that was made 24 hours earlier. I've let it set completely. There you have it. This is at what's the weather today? Let me have a look at the weather, what it says. Yeah, the weather is about 24-26 degrees C in where I am at the moment. And the one second. And the ganache was left at room temperature after making it. So let's have a look at the consistency of it before we can move on to anything else. As you can see, at 26 degrees, which is a little warmer than room temperature, because room temperature is, I think, about 22 degrees, 18 degrees C to 22 degrees, somewhere in between. That's room temperature for you. So this is a little warmer than room temperature. That is if we're looking at the 24 degrees, but its highest temperature at the moment is 26 degrees C, which outside is warm. But remember, the weather outside is not what is in a room setting. So I'd imagine that at 24 degrees, 26 degrees outside, the shelter temperature is probably below that. So you're still looking at room temperature. And at room temperature, this is what we let's see what's happened to the feet. Okay, just trying to fix this a little bit. At room temperature, this is what we have. It is spreadable. It feels like peanut butter consistency. You almost have to dig in a little bit. Now, can you cover a cake in this? Of course you can, depending on what your goals are, right? If you're looking to achieve a very solid cake covering, you can use this, but know that it's going to be incredibly difficult to spread around very easily. So I'm going to do a few things. If you want to see the primary way I optimize ganache first for covering a cake, I've already taught that, which is already in long form and in live formats. But today we have a different circumstance. You see, one solution doesn't cover all in the cake decorating process. Sometimes you have to adapt depending on the context and your situation at the time. So in terms of this weather condition, this cake is going to be covered as polished ganache cake. The customer is not going to eat the cake at all. They're going to keep it till Saturday when it will be eaten. I've already given them storage recommendations on how to keep the cake safe, especially in this weather. But my goal is not to hand them a cake that will fall apart easily. So we are going to optimize this for that goal, that whilst the cake leaves my kitchen, it is not going to be eaten for 24 hours. Ideally, it should be kept stored in a chilled place, probably back in the fridge. But those storage conditions are not always in one's control. And my goal is to make sure that the cake is optimized for stability for as long as possible. And the key word is long as possible. There are things I cannot control. For instance, if the customer disregards the recommendations I have given them, and then they go and they sit the cake up at room temperature at their house, and it gets warmer and warmer, and the cake eventually gives up and collapses, that is not my problem. However, as a cake maker who knows that my object of value, which is the item of value, which is the cake, is innately a perishable item, I am obliged to do my best to present the best stable cake that is possible in terms of what is reasonably achievable and what is reasonably acceptable in terms of presentation to the customer. So for that reason, for this ganache, I'm going to work at making sure that it works for this cake and the circumstance. So normally at this temperature, I will put it back in the microwave, whip it, and then cover the cake. When you whip the ganache, you're introducing air and expanding it, so it doesn't hold strongly, and it comes with some downsides to that. So I'm going to do things slightly differently. I have done that behind the scenes, but today I'm showing you what else I do in terms of using ganache to cover my cakes. All right, so this is going to go straight in the microwave. "40 seconds. Let's see. Oh, by the time I think about it. So let's count 40 seconds as we're thinking about it. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to overdo this. I don't think this is a full 40 seconds, but let's say reasonably 20 to 30 seconds, and look at what we've had. It is melted. When your ganache looks like this, it won't hold properly on your cake. It has texture on it and doesn't look very fine. Now, if you wanted to cover a cake with very clean, polished lines, this will probably be the best to use. But to enhance that, what I'm going to do is use an immersion blender here to kind of get it all together nicely so that I can have a smooth ganache that doesn't whip air into it too much too. All right, so I have an immersion blender here. I'm going to start by, okay. Every time I do this, I almost feel like I am going to chop my hands, my fingers. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's take a stop quickly. Remind me to kind of take the blade out before I do anything, because every time I do this, I have to remind myself, look, be careful you don't chop your fingers. Okay, right. When I took it out, the texture had a bit of, it looked very broken and it didn't look set. After applying the immersion blender, it is smoother. When you look closely, it looks like it's all come together, but it also has a pourable elastic consistency. This is probably the consistency you need if you're a beginner looking to use ganache. But remember, this ganache is not colored. There's nothing in it at all, so it's easier to use, and the consistency of the ganache will stay intact if you want to cover a cake with this. Now, for me, I need to color this as a pink ganache. Steph is back. Steph, darling. So what I'm going to do is get some of my, this is my coloring thingy. Oh, I like color meal. Have I told you that already? I like color meal. I'll tell you something I don't like about color meal. When color meal is about to run out, it's hard to get your color out of it. So what I am going to do is sit this here and get myself some hot water, because it is going to, I'm going to try and get what I need out of the color meal bottle, because color meal is oil based, which means you only need a little bit to do what you need to do, but when you leave it unused, it goes to, it sets and it is hard for you to pour anything out of it. So that's my qualm with caramel as a cake maker. I'm like, it's a hard one. I love caramel because you don't need much. I like Pro Gel too, but Pro Gel is a bit, because it's a gel and it's heavy, sometimes it can get out of hand very quickly. So I prefer caramel for just coloring ganache. But the problems with caramel is just like, I can't deal. Look at this. I feel like I have to fight with the empty bottle. Look. This is the real life of a cake maker, right? When you see your favorite creators who have those bottles arranged nicely and polished behind them, I love that for them. That's not my reality though. My reality is that my bottles are a mess. They are. And I need some white coloring. How are we, Steph, how are we today? Okay, let's get this and that. Okay, now let me wipe my hands. Okay. Okay, now let's see. We need a little bit of white coloring in here. Why? Because the yellow tones in the ganache is a bit too much. Hence, if we go for the pink, we are going to need a bit more pink. And I don't want to do that. So I want to thin out the coloring a little bit so that I can use just a little bit of pink instead of adding more. So I'm just adding a little bit of white so I can pale out the yellow. Right, this is what we have. So it is paling. You probably won't see much of it or what I'm doing or how it looks on camera for you. I am sorry, but I hope you can tell the difference, because this is what it looks like without the color. I hope it helps. And this is what it looks like with white coloring. Can you see the difference? I hope the lighting doesn't, because lighting affects coloring differently. Because let me see, if you look at here, it's all yellow. Now if I lift this and put it to the side, can you see the difference? This is the one with white coloring and that's without the coloring. I hope you can see the difference. I know lighting is a bit different and it affects the outcome from what you're watching, but anyway, there you go. So with that done, let me get a stick here and let's get some pink in here. Okay. Okay. Let's see, because last time I dipped. Who was here when when the weather had me acting out? Okay, we've got some pink, but it's not really pink, it's more peachy if you like. So I am going to kind of okay, let's try that. We are trying to get pink, but then again, if you, depending on what color you're trying to get, sometimes you have to just let the color set, because if you keep adding and adding and then the color develops, it will get darker, if you like. So even though I am going for pink, I am also very wary. Okay, I'm glad you could see the difference because I was worried you couldn't see in the lighting. Ade, how are you, my darling? There you go. Look at my hands. Right, so all I'm doing is, you can see because the bottle is nearly empty, there isn't even much. Actually, if I cut the bottle, you'll see the color has gone to sleep in the bottle. So it's not like I'm pouring much out of it, if you like. 1 second. Just need to wash my hands. Okay, we have some more pink from a different skewer here. So I am just going to, yep, okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, now we have pink. We've gone from the peach. Now we have a pink color here. And that's all I need. I don't need to color it any deeper because the color will develop. So now that I've got the color, what I'm going to do is clear the table, and then we can focus on just settling this color better for what we need it for. Okay, first of all, wash my hands. Wash my hands and okay, wipe my worktop. Clear everything. Just trying to talk to myself because this is how you can get your worktop a bit messy quickly. Let me drink some water. Worktops can become very messy very quickly because you move on from one thing to the other, swapping very quickly. And also, the reason why I didn't use a lot of white coloring to thin it out is because the mixture of white coloring is it titanium peroxide or something? Don't quote me on it. The main ingredient, it's a white substance that is mixed with glycerin. And glycerin has a tendency to add liquid to the consistency and to thin your ganache out and affect the hold of the ganache. So if you intend to kind of change your ganache coloring to complete white, you have to account for the amount of liquid that is going to be introduced from your white food coloring, if you like, because the liquid component does affect the consistency of ganache. So remember that anytime you want to add, as in a pourable white coloring into your ganache, I think the ingredient here is, what is it? The main, yeah, titanium dioxide, E171 with glycerin, and it's GMO and allergen free. So titanium dioxide, that's the main ingredient, which is the white powder. It's a white powder that you mix with glycerin, and it's vegetable glycerin. I think I do have glycerin here. I have seen people try to replicate the mixture by themselves online. I just don't care, but it is expensive. I think, how much is this? This is really expensive, about £15 something, the tub. It's not cheap. You could buy the powder cheaper and the glycerin yourself and then make it up, but I really don't care. So we have our pink coloring here. And I'm going to go back and whisk it. something you should know. If you want a uniformly mixed color to your ganache, make sure you scrape your bowl and clean it all nicely, because as you can see, I have patches of color on the sides, and if I don't take care of it, I want a solid pink cake. You'll end up having pink streaks in your finished product, if you like. So I'm gonna clear all of this, wipe it all together nicely, and make sure that my color is one uniform block. Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, we'll wipe our hands over here. That to the side, and we'll get some and then we'll color. And that's it. We have pink coloring. Pink ganache. Pink ganache. Pink ganache. Now, it's no good when we make the ganache and we don't utilize it. So let me go and get the cake. Hopefully it has set a little bit. And then we can do a coat and see how it fares. Okay? Let's put this back where it belongs. Let me go get the cake. Let's get some hot water running. Let's go and get okay, look at that. It is set, so this is why, you know, this is why ganache is king, you see. Look at how set it feels. Very, okay. Now, let's go. Okay, we're trying to scrape the top so we can get a clean edge. If you're wondering, Glad, how are you going to get this blue to turn pink? Just watch me, okay? And why the blue? Because I don't like waste. Because I had leftover ganache. Look at how easy this spreads. I am literally not doing anything. All I'm doing is helping the ganache set on the cake. It glides easily. And because I used the immersion blender, the consistency it has given me means that I am going to get a very smooth looking cake. But let's just get it done first and then you will see for yourself. Okay? If you have any questions for me, just hold tight. I'm not ignoring you, but if you've been here before, you will know that your sister cannot do both. I cannot be working and be talking. I'm either talking or I'm working, okay? Right, now, you see all them people on your favorite channels that are decorating cakes and it looks all nice and the scraper is all polished. We don't do that over here, okay? This is the reality of decorating a cake. It's sloppy, it's messy, and then it's clean. That's all. So if you're out here looking for perfection, you ain't gonna get it here. We'll give you raw. Like, can you see? Can you see the mess I am making? It's not intentional though. I'm just trying to do my job the way I know how, okay? Now, when you're like this, you're gonna try and go slowly. You're not going to try and take this all at once. It's not going to work. And if you struggle with scraping, here is the goal. It's a 45-degree angle. Okay, no pressing. You don't have to press. If you press on it, you're going to scrape too hard. So what you're doing is at 45-degree angle, just hold the scraper to the cake and move the cake around. That's what scraping motion should be. Okay? It helps if you have a clean, leveled scraper. It helps, which is why at every point after scraping, I use the palette knife or offset spatula to clean it out. And if you saw, when earlier I said, be careful about the color. See, I've ended up with a color streak of pink over here, even though I am aiming for a solid pink cake. That is my bad. Completely on me. Okay? Right. If you're a beginner and you've been able to cover your cake up till this point and your cake looks like this, even though it's not done yet, that is good work. Okay? Exceptionally good work, but we're not done. It's messy. We still have dips and bumps on it and holes. So how do we tackle that? Watch me. Right, let's try. There's something I'm looking for. Yeah. So I have two of the scrapers, right? The other one is messy. I could wash it, but I've decided to swap to a cleaner one. Okay, so that I can clean my worktop and the cake better. I can see there's there are questions and chats going on about the consistency of ganache. Dolly, thanks for the help over there. Then let me finish this and I'll go back and see if I can answer some of the questions and add some more information if necessary. Yeah, there you go. At this point, the goal is just to wipe everything down. So all I'm doing is trying to wipe the cake board and my worktop. Because if you're trying to achieve polished work with a less than polished work surface, it's not going to work. Now, at least we've achieved a level of cleanliness and our work surface and the cake is looking all clear now. So where do we go from here? Now, I have literally just ignored my messy work bits on the side here. Of course, if you don't have the luxury of changing tools or doing any of the things I have just chosen to do, for instance, if you're a beginner and you don't have two scrapers, because look, this is messy, this is clean, my advice is, let's move this to the side for a minute. This is the reality of what is left over after you've worked up to the point where we are. My recommendation here is to stop everything, put the cake in the fridge, come back, pick the knife you're working with, the palette knife, clean your work table and your tools together. So this is what I would normally, you've seen me do this. If I'm working in overwhelming circumstances and I have to reuse tools, this is what I do. You clean them, you wash them, and then they'll come back to looking like this. I've just swapped it for convenience, but you clean them, wipe up your bowl, and then cleanse it nicely and leave it to the side. You can rework with those. I have just simply swapped it for convenience, that's all. So if you don't have the tools, don't worry at all, right? So here's where we are. Now that you are here, see, I have always told you, a straight standing cake doesn't happen because you applied ganache on it. A straight standing cake starts with how you layer and stack your cake. So with the cake that is set, I don't have much to do at all. All I'm doing is adding to it. So now we've covered it, we have bumps and everything. All you are doing is you're working in sections. So over here, I am just going to be covering the section that has bumps in it because the cake itself looks even. If the cake wasn't even, I'd be tempted to cover it all at once again, but it looks even. So I'm just working in sections. Like this side of the tip has dipped in a bit, so I'm just adding some ganache, spreading it across, and then looking to clean it. Now, the silver scraper I have here is cold. If I use it on this, it won't give me the clean look I am aiming for, but it has also covered much of what I want. So I'll leave it as such for now. And then we're going back in, doing the section again. This time here, there, and then here we have. So you see, I am not going back to cover the entire cake at all. All I am doing is just filling the part that needs a bit of attention. And with a cold scraper, I'm going back in and wiping all that round. Now, wiping it all round takes a bit of experience. If you can't do it like that, you can do it in sections. So we have almost gotten this side of the cake all polished. But if I switch back here, can you see? If I switch back here, you can still see the bumps. So we're going to go that way. Fill that back up and scrape the excess away. And with the excess away, I'm going to have the same scraper, right, and go all the way around corner. So that is about half the sphere of the cake, and the other half is there. We still have some bumps over there. Now, this is the part of cake decorating that if I was making a long form tutorial, you probably won't see. Because polishing a cake takes a repetitive motion of doing the same thing over and over and over. And so when you're making this into a long form content, it's like it's so repetitive, you want to cut the story short. So you don't get to see exactly how a cake looks polished. This is is it the third or fourth time? And we've had to do that over. And here I go again. There you go. right? So essentially the cake looks covered, but it's not as polished as I would like it. In the past, you've seen me cover a cake and it happens. In the past, you've seen me cover a cake and it doesn't look polished, and that is by intention. I am aiming to actually show you how you can get a solidly, completely polished cake without the effort, and you are watching me literally do that. So I'm going to pick my thingy, and then we're going to wash all of these up again. Okay. Now, okay. Now we need some warm water. And the warm water in a tray like this, it's just to kind of keep the blade warm, if you like, because it's the warm blade that will help us get a very polished look. Now it looks like nothing, but it is very warm. So watch, I'm gonna go. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. All you're doing is I'm applying the warmth to kind of clean the cake out. And because I'm not pushing and because the cake is already set, there isn't much to come of it, right? So you clean that off. And then I swap to another one. If the ganache seems to be getting darker, that is fine, because when it sets, it's meant to look like that. So that's why I said I wanted it pink, but it's a deeper pink that it will yield. By morning, this color is likely to change into a much deeper pink. So if you think the color is changing, that's not just you, it's actually a thing, because once the color sets, it develops. Okay. Okay, right. So we are getting there. Now this is the part where if you have the smaller scrapers, you can use them. I obviously didn't get mine out, so I only have myself to blame. Okay, so there we have it. At least I told you. Can you see the streak? But I'm going to apply stencil to this cake, so the little streak that you see over there will go. It will be covered up. Essentially, that's the cake done. I can't trim the top yet if I want a clean top, as in a clean, sharp, round edge. So we're going to have to leave this cake completely to set, and then when it's set and the top hardens, I'll come back with a knife and we'll trim the top. So that's our cake done now. The blue garish looking cake we had, look at how much it's changed. What do you think? What do you think? Can you see a part of it uncovered? This is the part as a cake maker where you have to be disciplined, because at this point, sometimes you're looking at it, you're like, something needs doing, and then you go and you ruin it. Okay? I have a tendency to do that a lot. What do you think? Let's see. It looks solid. Okay, we're done then. I'm not like, if I leave this here, I'm going to touch it. So you know what? Let's go put it in the fridge. And hopefully it will set quickly enough and we can trim it and you can see the results. Okay? Let me just go put it away. Ade says it looks good. Your sister was outside today. I was so outside, I had sunglasses on. Let me show you. See? I can see you. Okay? Okay, Dawn says you need a seriously large plate, my darling. Oh God, we look rich. Oh Lord, has baking food. Okay, Dana is asking, look, this is Auntie Gladys. Okay, this is Auntie Gladys. Auntie Gladys needs to answer your question. So let's see. Rich, see? Rich auntie vibes. Okay? Right. Let's see. Denai says, ladies, has baking full-time or part-time as work affected how you feel about baking as a hobby? Oh, Denai, you literally entered the chat with the serious question. Shall we? How much time do we have? Because I've got experience now, okay? If you have anything to say about this, you can put it in the chat. Ade says, glad to see you look cool, honey. Thank you. Okay? Listen, Auntie be sitting at the beach, looking at you people like, girl, why is the thong or your bikini a little bit smaller than your nyash? Look, my face is hot. People, we can't be dealing with that. On a serious note, has baking affected part-time and full-time? How you feel about baking? Yes. And that's because when you're doing something as a hobby without the pressure of having to do anything with it but expressing your passion for whatever reason, it is a completely different field. When you change it into a business, you have to be very clear about what your intention is and what you hope to achieve with it. I don't want to say that the moment money exchanges hands, it ruins it. No, I don't want to say that, because that will be a blanket statement. But there's context to it. Because when you're doing it as a hobby, you have room to express yourself, and that expression, there is no judgment to that or expectation to that expression, right? The expression can be, you can make your wonkiest cake and decide that it was a day that you were trying something new. And so the end result, as wonky as the cake looks, is the result of you challenging yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? There is no expectation there. There is no judgment. You have complete control, and you are not having to prove a value point with anybody. And the value point is when it becomes a business, someone is paying you for an expected value of the product, right? Now there is joy in that. you will, depending on where your values and your goals are, you will feel a sense of joy if you push yourself to the limit and achieve the standard, which by your definition may be the gold standard. But that is I think at that point, the control is not in your hands anymore. You are leaving the judgment to a person who owns the right to critique you rightly or wrongly. Because say if someone was paying you £80, their expectation of an £80 cake may not meet the skill level of you executing an £80 cake. So then the hobby doesn't become like this freedom of expression anymore. It becomes an expected standard that you cannot fall short of. And so that has a tendency to kill your creative expression. Now, the context under which you can continue to enjoy that sort of unlimited process of expression can be achieved in a business. I know that because I have lived it. And the way you achieve that is by limiting yourself to the skill and expression that is suitable for you, right? But by doing that, you exclude yourself from the larger scale competition. Do you know what I mean? Like if you are going to enjoy the process of making cakes as an expression and the joy of serving a particular person, and you're going to have to go up the mountain and achieve the best cake by definition. And I'm not talking about a subjective definition. I'm talking about an objectively defined definition of what the best cake looks like. Like the cake looks polished, it looks professionally presented. All those attributes take time. And so suddenly, if you're going to spend, let's say, 30 hours making that one cake, you cannot sell it for cheap. It has to meet a particular price point for you to stay in business. How many people will be willing to pay that price? It doesn't mean that the customer is not there, but perhaps the customer is not the large scale population. So suddenly you are competing at a niche point. And at that niche point, expectation is high because suddenly your name is associated with something very unique. And so it's not something you wake up and feel like I'm going to enjoy making a cake for the fun of it. No, somebody is probably paying you 600, 800 pounds for a cake that you are happy because somebody is really gunning for your expertise. But it's not a joyful project where you wake up on a good Monday and feel like I can make a mistake and get away with it. So I hope that answers the question that if you want your cakes to become a hobby, you can definitely do that. But when you move it into a business, it does have a tendency to affect how you feel about it. But you see, feelings are not the representation of what real life is. Sometimes you just have to put your big girl adult pants on and be like, I'm in business and I've got to do it. But then you also have to go back to your own personal goals and your why, right? I woke up one day and realized that when it comes to why, I didn't enjoy being everybody else. Like, could I have like changed my business to become like a wholesale like children's cake maker, having people pay, let's say, a minimum of £90 for a children's cake? Yeah, make myself a large scale cake maker. But I realized that for me is akin to going to a job I don't care about. The same reason why I left traditional employment after more than a decade in it, right? Waking up, going to a job you don't care about. So I wasn't about to change my kitchen to an office that I don't care about, and yet I have to make a cake. But make no mistake, there is also that the definition or the intention to define a particular thing you don't want to do is the optimum definition of privilege in my eyes, because people go to jobs they don't care about, okay, and that is okay. People have to wake up and do the thing they don't really have the joy in it. Like, your job is not supposed to bring you joy. Like, let's be real, your job isn't supposed to bring you everyday joy. You are supposed to go and live in come and do adult stuff and pay bills and taxes and look after your home and just live, right? So if you have the choice to define what a job is for you, maybe that is privilege and that is a level of control you can have. And after more than a decade in a job that for most part I cared about, but in the end I didn't care about, and it made me sick, it affected my mental health, ultimately I made a choice that I will never want to be in a position where I wake up to a thing that makes me pant for breath, that makes me question why I'm doing it, and that leaves me crying at night because I'm exhausted and bent out, you know. So ultimately, especially in recent times with the change of going back to a new career change, I had to just accept that I love cakes, I do, but I don't want to wake up and argue. Like, for a long time I haven't had to argue with a customer, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen that customers will send me cakes or photos that I don't care to make. Like, I don't want to wake up and make this cake that I don't care about, right? And I haven't done that for a long time. But it also means that my kitchen is not stewing with cakes coming and going all the time. Like, I'm not as busy as you may perceive, right? And that's okay. That is intentional. That is choice. I have a commercial oven. I have all this commercial like equipment around me. I don't want to, like, in the immediate time, I don't want to wake up and make a cake I don't care about. So ultimately, with privilege being I have the different set of skill that can determine where I move on to, I decided, like, maybe let me go do something else I'm passionate about professionally. Let me start over again whilst I preserve the space that really makes me joyful. And the truth is, again, that is privilege, because not a lot of people have like a full-time job and a thing that they care about on the side that they can dedicate time to. Not a lot of people have that, you know. So in all of these cases, no one can determine what your goals are for you. But the truth is, turning a hobby into a business can be a challenging journey. It's not a bad thing. It all comes down to what your personal goals are and what you hope to achieve in it. That's all. Because ultimately, if you're one of the things that I was very cautious not to do, especially when it came to this channel, which was cake centered, because it started as something I wanted to express myself through and to make it an extension of my business. But I was cautious not to make it my main source of income, because the moment you place that expectation on something that you passionately enjoy, the pressure becomes different, you know. So it's not a good or a bad thing. I think there is context to situations and people's experiences are different. But from someone who has had a long career, left it, done this for, like, I run since 7 good years. I realized that I just love cakes for the sake of the fact that I love it. And I am now better off just, if I woke up and never had to sell a cake, I'll still talk about cake. And I just love the fact that I have the privilege of being able to still do it, right? I haven't closed down the business, but it's at a place where I am content with what order I take, what I do, because it's not my income anymore, okay? And I don't like have that pressure on it, which means I have peace to be able to express myself. And so if an order comes through and I feel like there's room for artistic expression, I'll take it. I'm not taking it because it will give me money, you know. And that in itself is privilege of knowing that I have something else. But what if I didn't have anything else and this was my life? Maybe I'll feel different about it, you know. So if you're starting, it's never like, don't limit yourself. Go experience it for yourself and choose what works best for you. That's my best, because sometimes, like we say, the best way to learn is to learn from people's mistakes. But the people who have already made mistakes are not living your experience. So don't be caught out in trying to avoid mistakes in your own life. It's okay to go and explore the full extent of your experience with mistakes included, because it is only through that you will have the confidence to determine what defines you and what is for you. Does that make sense? Gimori is back. Gimori, I think you're our friend in Switzerland, right? I told you we'll remember you. You're our friend in Switzerland. We remember people over here. So welcome back. It's been a little while. Let's see. Yeah, the sacrifice is being selective. So I would say, you know what? Don't rush for any and every order. And sometimes you also have to make room for fulfillment, you know, because you've also got to realize that whilst you want to make this something for yourself, you're a mom, okay? I hesitate to speculate you're a wife, perhaps. There are aspects of you that requires you so much. And sometimes this business of be ambitious, my darling, it's okay to be ambitious, right? But please do not fall for you can achieve everything all at the same time. That is not true. That is a wrong perception that has been purported around, like you can achieve it, you cannot achieve everything at the same time. But it takes wisdom and discernment and contentment of heart. Like if you're content in your heart, like there are women, right? Or there are people around who want to climb the corporate ladder and get to the peak of it. And I'm one person who is down here cheering you on if that is what you feel content to go and achieve. And then there is the other woman who thinks, I am content when I take my kids to school and I come home and there's a home cooked meal for them. If a person chooses that is where their fulfillment and joy and meaningfulness of life lies, that is okay. So think about that person who is waking up and having to take care of their child. Make sure that they are a present parent. And I'm talking for both sides, both gender, right? But because our community here is largely women, if you are in a situation where some people are out here stunting about their wealth, and I'm not talking exorbitant, unattainable wealth. I'm talking about a meaningful life of, say, they have their bills covered, they have their cars covered, their life is defined by at least being able to attain some material success. And you are sat here and your life is limited to the sacrifice you have made, perhaps between yourself and your partner, that one person stays home and looks after the child or children and another person goes to work. And I'm talking about a realistic representation of family life and healthy relationships where a couple have made decisions together. I'm not talking about situations that are out of the norm. So hear me when I'm saying I'm talking about like a reasonable, acceptable, healthy relationship where two people, even though the income doesn't stretch, you both have come to the agreement that one stays home and then one goes to work, whatever that looks like. And even though the sacrifice of staying home means that the income is a little less and you have to make sacrifices, it can awfully feel difficult even when you know that this is a choice you made. This is a choice you made. You can get up and go to work. But on the flip side of going to work means that you will wake up and your child goes to, let's say, breakfast club or preschool club, whatever that looks like. And you may not get home in time. And so your child spends longer time outside of being with you, right? And that's a choice you've made, to be home because you don't want the other thing. And the sacrifice of your choice means that you have a little less money, and money is tight, and you cannot go out and enjoy life like the person who is materially successful out there in those terms, right? The word contentment becomes very key, because no one can tell you otherwise how to feel and not feel unless you have made peace in every and any way with the choice you have made, and directly, as well as the consequences that comes with it. And so for a very long time, from my own experience, there was a day in my life when I used to work a full-time job before I became a cake maker full-time. It wasn't because I woke up and decided that my passions were necessary. Like, who gives a shit about your passions when your bills have to bill? Like, let's be real. That wasn't it. Of course, I eventually had to embrace the passion, because you know what? Passion is the thing that will keep you disciplined when there is no incentive to wake up and go to work because you don't have a boss anymore. Okay? But even so, it's not passion, it's discipline. The discipline of waking up and managing your own time, making a cake and sticking with it, showing up every day, building skill, that is just discipline. And discipline is not built in a day. Discipline is a lifetime of effort. As an African child, I have never had to rely on motivation. My African Ghanaian mother never believed in motivation. My mother, who lives in Ghana today, didn't have to wake up and be motivated to look after 5 children. That shit is hard. You know? So I have never had to wake up and feel like, oh, I feel motivated. No, these days I even look at me and I'm like, I am foreign to me. Like, what do you mean? Okay, motivation. No, my point is, the reason why I left corporate, like I left traditional career to run the cake business, because first of all, I had the choice to, okay, the choice to. But secondly, it was because after I had my son, there was a day that I had a real, and I'm talking real life-changing crisis in my life. And sometimes when you see online, like the stories of someone said, the story of when someone said, oh, for instance, my mom died, and when I told my employer, this is not my story, I'm just citing an example. Like, you see, sometimes I've seen stories on TikTok where someone said the reason why they quit their job was that they lost a loved one. And when they went to tell what their employer, as in their immediate manager, the manager showed no empathy for them and actually expected them to come to work. And it was in that moment that they realized they had to leave the job. I was in one of those circumstances, not that I had lost somebody. I had lost somebody, but that was like a secondary issue. But the immediate issue was that I had a real like life-changing crisis in my life. And I had in that moment to define where I needed to be. In that I had a 2-year-old. No, he wasn't 2 then, was he? He was about 19, 20 months old. And I woke up one morning and I knew that if I didn't go to work, I would be fired. And yet I didn't have any safety net on where to put my son, right? And he was 20 months. And in that moment, I did go to work. I had to find a way to resolve the decision about where my son was going to be. But in that moment, I knew that the job I had then wasn't worth keeping, because I couldn't sustain my decision making about where to keep my son and going to work and pretending. And it was like, this is not a reflection on the people, the company, or like, people have their lives. But say if you lost a loved one and you are in customer service, it is a hard ask to go and smile to people when you've lost somebody in your life, right? And so I was in that position, and even though I hadn't lost somebody, the circumstances had robbed me of even the smallest of joys in that moment. And yet I was having to go and put on a strong face and be nice to very entitled people who wanted a milkshake. And so once I kind of thought about, is this what it is about? I just thought, oh no, this is not going to work for me, right? So the immediate aftermath was that thankfully COVID happened very quickly. Like a few coincidences kind of led to transitioning me out of this place. And I am so glad I did. But how many years later, I look back now with life's experiences to realize that, look, whilst I am still telling you that motivation is not the thing that will keep you going, discipline would. Live your life best as you can. Find some joys. Go do something you're joyous about for a minute. Like, go and do it. You know why? Because we will die. I have watched people die in my life, right? Suddenly it's like, if I get fired today from my job, it's like, goodbye, and I'll find another one. If I don't like this cake, it will be goodbye. Because you know what? You will die. This conversation just got deep. Okay? You know, you will. Like, I have watched like healthy, hardworking people drop dead and life still moved on without them. And I'm like, is this what this is all about? Like, this whole business of let's be successful and live, is this what it is about? Like, really? So suddenly, I think with all those experiences, I have just learned to accept what I have in the moment. And if this moment, all I can do is show up here for an hour or two and go back and hug my son, go to bed at night, pray to God to have another morning, I am not stressing about nothing. I am not. There are days I look at the bills, I'm like, the bills are billing. But I say all that to say, if you are on your journey of exploring, like you have this passion of cake making, my darling, you already have enough on your plate, okay? So be kind to yourself and don't compare your day one to the person who is in year 100. Because I'll tell you this matter of fact, and I've always said, it's not like it's unattainable, but sometimes we don't emphasize the difficulty enough. It is not easy, especially in this day and age, to have a full-time cake business at home by itself. No, you have to be exceptionally skilled. You have to diversify. And especially with the emergence of social media, it almost feels like everybody is successful. My darling, it ain't true. Okay, it's not true. Okay, it's cake and it comes in some form of cake made anyway. So it's either they are making the cakes as a primary business and the excess, as in the secondary income, is they are teaching the cake, they are selling recipes and other, like there is a way to make money out of cakes, okay? Fact, there is. But it requires work. It's not as easy, especially if you are focused on value and honesty. Like, I certainly, can I be able to make content, derive you 100% content, go and sell cakes and then sell you recipes? Of course I can. Can I build this community and then get myself some brand deals? Of course I can. But you see, I don't want to do all of that stressing myself, because you know what? I want to go to sleep for 8 hours. Because to do all of that means that I have to cut my sleep down to 4 hours. And you know what? Sleeping 4 hours, if you're chasing a goal, for a limited time is sustainable. But I'm not trying to catch heart disease. I'm 40. I have a 9-year-old to look after. I'm on my own now. I'm not trying to catch a heart disease. Okay? I am not. I am not trying to raise my cholesterol. I am not trying to have high blood pressure. So I want to sleep for 8 hours and I'm at peace with it. That's all. if I sleep for 8 hours and my friend here is sleeping less, and yet they are invested, and I see them on social media and they are doing all the excesses, I'm not jealous. I'm content because I chose sleep. Like, I'm just being honest. So if you choose sleep, if you choose family life, just be content with what you have in the moment, right? And pray to God that you have another day. And that's all. Because what you are choosing by active intention, you are not choosing something else. If you choose one thing, by just that action, you have chosen not to choose something else, right? So by choosing to go and focus on this thing right here, which is what I am doing with you today, we are stood here talking. By choosing to spend my hour with you today, right now, in this present time, means that if my friend wants me to come out so we can go and stand together in the sunshine, I can't be there. I'm in my kitchen. I can't. Tabitha is back! Tabitha. Oh no, it's dawn. Is Tabitha here? Tabitha. I'm looking for Tabitha. Dolly, yes. I've just gone back to, Dolly is asking, do you have, I've just gone back to work recently. Yeah, I've gone back to work, like pursuing a different career in education recently. But up until then, I only ever made cakes for the last 7 years. Cake was, I made cakes full time, but in the last couple of weeks, I've just gone back to work. What have I missed? Don't say so true, Gladys. We're alive for a short time, my darling. No. So, if you're starting cake making, like I've told you we are not playing the YouTube game anymore. Like, not that I ever wanted to represent anything that wasn't truthful, but the thing is, there's a certain level of peace when you realize that, look, I'm not making the content for the algorithm anymore. Like, we are real people here. We speak about real experiences. So I can do that. And if I woke up and I wanted to come and cook jollof rice over, I'll come and cook the jollof rice and we'll be done. Like, I am not trying to save the content for any other thing. Like, no, we are not doing that anymore. We're not playing by YouTube rules anymore, because I have peace about, if YouTube demonetizes a thing because we are discussing a subject matter and I don't make money, I'm okay with that. Okay, so we are about to live, and the truth is, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's doable, but it's also like, if you can see someone tell you honestly what is attainable, at least you can prepare yourself for what is ahead. So now you know that running a cake business by itself will not be sustainable for the long term, at least if you rely on just the product. Because if your customers who spend, let's say, if you specialize in niche cake making, because let me tell you, as a cake maker, I have been precious about cake making for a long time. I've been so, because you know what? For somebody who does what I do, I hated making wedding cakes. And today I can admit that. Just being honest. That shit is stressful. Making a 3-tier wedding, first of all, I never wanted to make a cake that exceeded a 3-tier wedding cake. I would not even lie. I will not even lie. Like, every time I saw an email of anyone in my inbox, like I'm hot, but I'm being honest. Every time I saw an email that said, we want a cake to serve 140 people. I was like, this will not be me. This will not be me. Because I can just about manage a 3-tier cake. Just about. 4 is a hell of trouble. Like, I'm not doing that. Okay? But that is where the money is. Especially if you're specializing. A 4-tier wedding cake will set the buyer a minimum of 8 to 1,200 pounds. Okay? So if you are specializing in just making cakes for your income, right? It's either you target a mass production audience, as in children's cake, celebration cakes, and you have, let's say, a minimum of, let's say, 5-6 cakes on your table every week. If you work it, it's a 10. My point is, what I'm saying is not impossible. You can achieve it. But you have to look at your own circumstance and your output ability. I realize that I don't know how people are able to churn out cakes every weekend, 5 cakes, 6 cakes. I couldn't do 3. By the time I get through 3, I need 2 weeks to recover. I'm just being honest. Especially, I'm not talking about like 3 random cakes. I'm talking about 3 cakes that requires a lot of artistic input. Like, there is nothing that is new under the sun, right? But if you're promising a customer that you're going to reinterpret the cake order, that the photograph that they've sent to you, that is a very popular design, that takes a little bit of like thinking outside the box. So by the time I sit there and faff around and wonder how this design is going to be reinterpreted, I've already lost a lot of brain power dreaming about this cake. And I don't know, maybe I'm neurodivergent. I don't know what's wrong with me. What I do know is that when I am obsessed about one cake, the other 2 have to wait. I don't have the mental space to worry about the other 2. I can't do it. Dawn is like, because you eat all of... Look, I'm just waiting for you 2 to pay me to eat a cake. I'm just being honest. Don't worry. Yeah, I like when I'm obsessed with one cake, like the one cake that requires a lot of my brain power, the other 2, I can't think. Like, I am the person who wakes up on a Monday morning, and if I have a particular cake that is on my mind for Saturday, I cannot even make time for admin. I have to focus on this cake. So my life literally revolves around this cake until that cake is executed and I can breathe. So how am I going to even exert any brain power for 5 cakes? Not that I never received those emails. If we go into my inbox, right, you'll see that I've been sitting on money. But the truth is, I was never comfortable with taking the money and be stressed for nothing, which is why we are where we are now. Because eventually I realized, like, what am I doing this for? Because it was fun until it wasn't. And the fun was that I realized that I was turning a lot of cakes down. And let's be honest, turning the cakes down means that the income is short. So what are you going to do? That's all. Dolly says, I'm off. I have a lot of cupcakes going early tomorrow morning. Catch you. Enjoy the cupcakes, darling. Have fun. And we'll see you on the next one. Mwah, Dolly. You know, so my people, the journey is not for the swift. Just embrace your journey and enjoy it as you go. Just enjoy it. That's all. I've told you. I like to sleep for 8 hours, okay? I like to go to sleep for 8 hours. I like to eat a bowl of salad and some cake. But surviving on 4 hours sleep and my gig. Nah. Like, I'm stressing about cakes in the summer heat. The only cake that stressed me was the one I filmed for you people, and you saw it. But can you imagine having all the cakes, about 4 cakes going out in the summer period? I'll die. Okay? No. Let's go and get the cake. Let's go and get the cake and work on that. Okay? There you go. I nearly broke a cup. Okay, our cake is back. Now let's trim the top so we can get a clean, sharp cake on the edge. Yay! We got it. Oh no, Dawn. Dawn, the next cup you buy is a metal one. Look, I have saved. Listen, the only reason the present you bought for me is still present is because I have made a conscious choice not to use it. Because if I was using it, it would have broken by now. But you know what? It is sat here. It is sat here. Because I know me. I know if I use this every day, look, I resorted to using the spoon a lot recently. And I popped it. Because it fell off. It fell over a stone thing and it came off. So I got scared again. And I decided not to use it. So take no notice of me. Don't worry. So my people, then yes, changing a hobby into a business does affect things. But you can always manage what your expectation is. It is highly possible. And you just have to embrace your journey and be content with whatever that looks like just for you, my darling. Okay? The good thing though is that you're not alone, because when I was doing that, I didn't have a community out here, right? I was out here just on my own, and then somehow we ended up here. So you don't have to do this by yourself alone. You don't at all. But being a mom with other responsibilities can be taxing, and sometimes we forget that sometimes all you can do is just do the thing that is in front of you the best you can. That's all. You know, ultimately the thing that gave me the chance to transition to making cakes full-time was because I had the opportunity to do it. And so when I decided even recently to go back to work, I didn't sacrifice my core need. And my core need is I never wanted to be in a place where the decision about my son's well-being and where he needs to be, childcare and all of that thing would be left in the hands of another person. Like, that was a core need for me, right? So part of the reason why I accepted being at home for majority of that time making cakes was simply because I just wanted to be a present parent. As in, I didn't want the decision about my child's well-being, say, wake up in the morning and be running left, right, and center about where childcare need is, right? And that's such a very specific thing. But I was very clear on that specific thing. I was very, very clear. So you know what? On the days I woke up and I didn't have any cake orders, and I was left having to question my choices, because there you go through those phases where you wake up and you think, do you think you made a good choice on this one? I always went back to, do I have the same problems as the people I know or can relate to who wake up and they are trotting off to go and drop their child somewhere and then make it to work, and they are at work and they're calling around who can pick my child back and forth? I realized I didn't have that problem, right? And so as long as my core need was always satisfied, anything else I accepted and I was content with. Did I like it all the time? No. Some days I had to think about how much income I would make if I had a traditional job. But the core need was that I would always, if a parent is needed at a school activity, at a social thing, I don't have to think twice, right? And even now that I went back to work, that core need remains like put. Like, I don't have that problem. My son goes to school. I am okay. I have my evenings with him. Like, I don't have that problem. But if I had to go back to a job that, like, the holidays and childcare was going to be a problem, I'll probably still be here. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes you have to come to terms with what your core needs are that fits into the goals of why you made a certain decision, and continuously go back to your why. That's all. Gimori, how are you? It's nice to have you back. We haven't caught up in a while. How is life in Switzerland? I just want a chance to say Switzerland, because Switzerland just sounds so posh to say, isn't it? Okay, go do what you have to do, darling. We'll catch you some other time, my lovely. Okay, take care. Why am I so clumsy today? Okay, so let's see. Ooh, Gimori is on vacation. Boy, have fun. It's nice to know. I hope you have a restful time. Yep, I've got slippery butterfingers, Dawn. It is giving me problems. Oi. Why are we making noise?
Sorry, I didn't know you were lying.
You want to say hi to the people in the stream? You want to say hello? Just say hello. Look at you. Look at you, mini Roger Federer. This guy dressed up all nice looking for a tennis club and said I hated it. The boy doesn't like tennis. Are you going now? What time is swimming?
Swimming's at 7. We're going to get something to eat and we're going to the pool. Alright, we need a bottle. No, we'll just get a Pepsi.
Are you going to the red shop?
Nope, we're going to Tesco. Come on, buddy.
Okay.
The red shop is just candies. Are my shoes in the thing or outside?
The little producer says he doesn't fancy today, so he's gone. Don't wear around. Oh, don't do that. Goodbye. See you later. Okay. The cake is covered. Gladys, stop it. Stop it. There you go. It's all done. It's all done. It's all done. It's all done. Okay. Yay. What do we think? Our cake is done. Glad. Don't do anything. Just leave it. Don't ruin it. Do not ruin it. There you go. Okay. There you go. So our cake is now all polished. I will probably on the community post, I will post, that's the light. On the community post, I'll post the inspo picture of the cake as in what the customer wanted. It's actually a cake that I made. So it's not hard to kind of like think about what it is going to be like ultimately. But it's due for collection tomorrow at 3 p.m. And so fingers crossed, maybe I don't want to make a promise because remember, we're not living under pressure. Okay. We are not, these days I'm like, when I show up, I will let you know, we're going to have fun. And when I disappear, you can go on about your life too. So I'm not going to make a promise and hold you to it. But I am hoping that tomorrow I can come back and we can decorate it. But keep an eye out because you know what? When I said I will be here today, the day before yesterday, if you don't know, we were here 2 days ago where I kind of like gave you a little update about the changes. YouTube has changed. I realized I was stressing about YouTube a lot, right? And I was kind of like pushing myself too much. I'm like, this is out of my control. YouTube is a business. If they're changing, they're changing. And it was beginning to affect how creatively I show up. So when I 2 days ago, when I showed up, a lot of people didn't receive notification. And that is part of the changes that have occurred with YouTube and how it is changing, you know. And so as a result, this has been some changes that have been occurring over time. This is not like a today thing or yesterday thing. So suddenly it's like the decision to show up creatively has like a cap on it. Like you are either creating or you're creating to monetize. And one is not better than the other. But I figured that our community is quite safe the way it feels. And I don't want to aggressively monetize it because at the moment, the AdSense is not a type of monetization at all. Like it pays me about £21 a month. You don't receive that money until it stacks up to about a minimum of £60. That's nothing, if you like. But I'm not against it either. So it means that the options of monetizing on YouTube are in the secondary options, which includes either deriving a product and then selling it to your customers, your viewers, and the other things, including brand deals. And I just figured I sincerely don't want to do that because the brand deals do come with some expectation. It will look at your overall presence and judge you by it. And where you get the brand deals, you might be making some sacrifices that you probably don't want to. And I personally don't want to sacrifice my voice over here. I don't. And I know you are not here to buy products from me, even though I know you want to support me. So we have given up all those efforts. Okay, we're not doing none of that. We are here because we want to be here. I show up because I love cakes and I want to talk to you about cakes, and we are friends and we have a community and we support each other. I am comfortable with that. So with that said, 2 days ago when I showed up, I did say I would come back yesterday, but I spent yesterday editing. Like, I've gone back to feeling, I don't feel like I'm enjoying it, but I also don't feel like, oh, it's something I hate, because I don't do it because of the pressure. So that's where we are. I am enjoying the process for the fact that I enjoy it and it's a creative expression. If life happens and I can't be here, I'll let you know I can't be here so that you can respectfully manage your time. And if I can't be here, I will make an update. I don't want to hold myself to, I have to show up over here, because I don't want to do that anymore. I don't. So we are good. So that said, I would love to be able to come back so that tomorrow we can decorate this. But I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like for me. If I woke up tomorrow morning, God willing, and I have life and breath and my focus is on my son, I don't want to have to feel the pressure of, I have to show up over here. Okay, we are not doing that anymore. So that's the new thing now. So I hope we can enjoy each other better now, because then you on the other side do not feel like you have to show up and support me. Because you know what? The truth is, you showing up already and communicating and interacting with the group and being a part of the community is enough already. Your attention and your time is very finite, okay? The time you spend sitting there chatting with me is very, very important to you. You could be doing one of many things, but you choose to be here. And so for that alone, it's enough. You don't have to do anything else. So let YouTube over there, and let you and I just have fun over here. That's where we are headed, okay? Let's have fun. We are just going to do us. And with that intention, look, here's the promise I'll make to you. For as long as I feel great about cakes and I'm passionate about it, I am not gatekeeping anything, okay? I am not. Like, if I wake up and I feel like I want to come and show you something specific about cake making, I will come and do it for you. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to do anything. Now, that is not to say, because the internet does tend to want to kind of like refer back to things and re-represent. I say all this in the present time, knowing that life changes, and I'll leave room for that change to happen in the future. If in the future, by just showing up, by just being trustworthy, by building my skill, we grow to the point where I can have help and be able to diversify to the point where I can give you some sort of different value. That is, if you have to pay for it, I will have to guarantee that it's an exceptional value that is worth your investment. And when we get there, you will know. In the immediate time, I don't have the capacity to be able to give you any more value than I am already giving. Are we clear? So I don't want in the future, if there is an opportunity that I write a book, and it's not probably going to be any book, it's going to be a book about maybe, let's say, Ganache, and some specific thing about Ganache, you're like, oh, she didn't tell us. No, you will always have my truest intention here. But if I decide in the future that I wanted to extend the information, for instance, if I wanted to make a video about Ganache and specifically the quantities of Ganache you need for sizes of cakes, I am addressing a specific audience, which is the cake maker who is starting their journey and they do not know how much Ganache they need for a 5-inch cake, a 6-inch cake, a 7-inch cake, and all of that. So if I decided to create that as a product to sell, it is not for the person who wants to enjoy me here. It is for a person who is looking for a specific thing. And I would hope that that value is exceptionally good for their investment. Let's be clear. That's all. That said, Right now, let's have fun, let's have a laugh, and let's make cakes. And I'm going to eat cakes without the guilt, and I'm going to tell you what I think without a filter. Are we clear? Not that there was ever a filter anyway, okay? But it's great to be here. It is. And our cake looks polished and clean and nice. What do you think? Oh, this has been fun. Because some days I'm like, I'm not sure. Okay, I wanted to come and make the cake. I really wanted to come and make the cake, but I was like, who? Some days. Anyway, that said, who in this chat watches Real Housewives of Atlanta? Who? Show me a hand if you do. Because there's something bugging me about that. I don't watch it like religiously, but there's something bugging me. I don't have anybody in my life to tell, and I want to come and talk about it. Who watches Real Housewives of Atlanta? Put your hand up. If you don't, then I will accept that I'm alone on this mountain, on this island. Let's see. My sister's been texting me. My sister's been texting me. Who watches Real Housewives of Atlanta? I'm going to just give you some time because I realize there's a delay. There's a delay sometimes. I don't. Seasons doesn't. So who? There's about 8 of us, including me. Steph doesn't. Who? So you're not the group that watches Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, so I'm on my own on this island. Shoot, this is kind of, oh God, that's annoying. Because there's something about it that is really, it's very relatable, and it is really bugging me, and I want to tell somebody. Because you know what, I've always said I am not like the person in people's comment section. You won't find me there, especially, no. Like, I like to be clear about things, and you can't always write a long passage. And these days, people are so lazy. People are so lazy when you have to explain something. Social media has given people audacity by people. Like, people will be like, you are taking too long. Really? Maybe if you stopped and you took your time to listen to the wider context for the full 10 minutes, maybe you will not be misinformed after all. And maybe you will understand why you should vote for somebody and not vote for another person. Because if you're caught up in the highlight reel, that's why our world is in the space it's in. But that's enough shade. The thing I want to tell you, it's not like I can't tell you, but it's a friendship thing. There are 2 people on the Housewives. The reason why I'm asking is if you watch it, you will understand it better. It's very contextual. There are 2 women there, and one, you would have heard, if you don't watch it, I don't know if you know Porsha Williams, and she has a friend, Shamea Morton, and they have a really specific problem on the show that has become very divisive. And I really want to tell somebody about it, as in, I want to talk about it because social media has different takes on it. And I'm looking at it and I have my own feelings and take about it. And I'm like, oh, this is hard. I want to tell somebody. Dawn says, I used to watch some of the Housewives, but couldn't stand... Let's put the cake away. Can we talk, people? Like, I do not know how those people... That's why I always say you have to be a certain kind of person to be on a show like that. And I don't know if any amount of money can make me be on a show like that. Like, I cannot, like, I will go to bed replaying that thing you did, even if you did it for the cameras. I cannot be, like, no. And that is the thing I want to tell you about Shamea and Porsha. They are two friends, right? And they are actually real life friends before they ended up on the show. Porsha has been on the show forever. Like, she's one of the main housewives from a long time. So she's like a household name. And Shamea, who is her bestie, because sometimes this housewife thing tries to prop acquaintances up as friends. And this is not an acquaintanceship. These are like real friends who were friends before Porsha got on the show. And when Porsha got on the show, Shamea was like a side person to Porsha. So she showed up as friend of the show. But she was almost like her loyalties were to her bestie, which is Porsha. And over the last couple of seasons, Shamea now is a real housewife on the show. So she has transitioned from being Porsha's loyal friend to just being on the show by her own merit. And suddenly the friendship they had, remember, it's a real friendship, a friendship that has involved their families. Suddenly the friendship has collapsed. And the way it has collapsed is so disheartening. And I'm sat there watching it and thinking, ooh, this must hurt. But I cannot do like the backs. Like, how much money can you put on having to backstab a friend? I don't know, people. Yeah, I like the way their friendship has collapsed, right? Social media does what social media does. You know, social media is this ecosystem where people like to project their own things on it. And when people project and they get it right, it's right. But sometimes people are really off because there are people who are coming for Shamea and calling her that she's jealous of Porsha. And I think of all the takes, that is the worst one. I don't particularly think she is jealous of Porsha. I think she is gunning for the... Shamea is operating from a genuine emotional place. Like, when... I think society has done us wrong by almost letting us believe like friendships are disposable. And I think I am always going to stand on the pillar of knowing that I, as a person, has genuinely earned and benefited on account you went to school together or you grew up together over there. Like, the people who I have benefited from, who have been genuine friends of mine, who some of whom are still friends, some of whom I've lost along the way, but I will still remember the benefits they were to me as friends. I don't understand how society just wants you to just dispose your friend. And the moment conflict happens and someone is genuinely holding space, because for the value of the friendship, if it is worth its salt, as in if a friendship was true to you, it's almost close to an intimate relationship without the sex. Remember the boy you love so much that you want to die for? That is a good friend without having to share the bed, right? So there is no way that friendship will collapse and you can't cry about it. Like, I'll tell you today, I am the friend who will sit here and cry about my friend. Like, I'm that person. Like, I will sit here and cry, but when I'm done, I'm old enough to know that if I love my friend genuinely and I say I like this person and we have a crisis, it ruins my day. Like, I am that person and I don't mind it. And I don't mind if you woke up one day and that friendship crashed and burnt. You were great and we didn't make it work, but I love you anyway and I thank you and I bless you and I hope you have a great life. Like, it's not like people treat friendships like it's a disposable thing. And the moment conflict happens, people tend to kind of run away from facing the deeper emotion of how meaningful a friendship is. And I think what social media is not recognizing is the people who are seeing Shamea as a jealous friend don't know how to express the true emotion and exist in the vulnerable place of saying, I love this person and I am hurt by the fact that we are here. That's my problem with Porsha and Shamea. I think Porsha and Shamea were really good friends. And with that friendship came a deep existence of doing things that should have been left unsaid. Sometimes when you lose a friendship, don't say the thing. But accept also that, yes, you're a person, and when you are angry, there's a tendency to do the wrong thing in your anger. And Shamea did that, and she has to own that. But what Shamea needed to recognize is, if she loved Porsha that much and couldn't accept the change because she was on the show, because Porsha has become a housewife for so long, she's a different friend now. And Shamea just needed to go and find some wise person to talk to, or go and see a therapist. And you know what? I'm not against going to see a therapist about that friendship, especially if that friendship was important to me. But what Shamea didn't realize was that she thought she could fix it on the show. And the show did what the show does, which is that Porsha is going to be a character instead of a real person. And Porsha charactered on Shamea, and now their friendship has collapsed and there's heartbreak for Shamea. But Porsha is out here like dancing on it. That's all. Hep is back. Listen, people selling their souls for money, I'm not even going to morally high stand and be like, I don't know what it feels, because nobody has offered me the money. Can we be honest? No one has offered. Maybe when I walk away from the money, I'll come and tell you. Okay? Listen, the channel I watch it on is called TikTok. Okay, the channel I watch it on is TikTok. I am not about to pay to watch that shit anywhere. And I don't even have the investment of time to watch them be catty with each other. But I do invest a lot of time in the commentary. So that part. So people selling their souls for money, maybe I haven't been giving the money yet. Maybe with a few 9 zeros to the number. And then maybe I'll send a friend and I'll come and tell you about it. Okay? That's all. But yeah, the Porsha Shamea friendship is really sad. Because when Shamea, there was the recent issue that eventually sealed the friendship was they did, like, they were on a group thing, right? And there's been tension between them for a while. So they went on a group date or something, and then they got catty with each other. And when they got catty with each other, Porsha did what Porsha does now. Because the thing with Porsha is that, like, this is my opinion. We don't know the woman. So anything I say is not even directly personal to her character. She may be a nice person. I don't know that. What I know is what I see on the telly. And don't blame it on editing. You've got to give the editor something to edit to represent you. So far, how the show has represented Porsha, this is my opinion, okay? Porsha is an extremely beautiful woman. The woman who is made for what that show stands for. Like, you can't be average. What are we looking at? I've got to switch on my television to see something that is a distraction from my life, okay? Is she a conventionally beautiful woman? Absolutely. When I look at Porsha, I mean, we know now she has made a few visits to the surgeon over there, but I'm not even mad. Whatever she's done over there, the girl looks good. The teeth looks great. The breasts are popping. The backside. I am not that brave, okay? I am that person who, if something bad is going to happen, it will be me. And I know that about my life. So I don't know how many zeros will make me want to give some to a surgeon to put me to sleep, so I will come back with a nyash bigger than what I already have. No, people, no. But maybe this is broken Gladys talking. If Gladys gets a few zeros to her account and she disappears and she shows up and she's gnashing. Shh, keep quiet. So I am not hating. Your show is on, okay? I am not hating on a beautiful woman. When I turn on the telly, which I don't have, by the way, but when I switch on my phone and I look on the screen and Porsha is sat there, and don't forget, everything that you are watching is produced, as in, Porsha doesn't just wake up in her everyday life and look like that. She looks made up, and these are professionally trained makeup artists. The makeup selection they have to choose for the lighting has to be a certain way. So it's a manufactured person that you see, but beautiful nonetheless. It looks good. It looks shiny. And Porsha is an exact representation of the shiny object we like to see. And especially in a world that is obsessed with shiny things, Porsha meets every mark of how shiny. She looks shiny, okay? And then add on top all the layers of privilege that comes with. If you are pretty like Porsha does in a society that will reward you for just your God-given looks, you haven't had time to develop other characteristics of your life. Let's be clear. If you are out here looking like Mark Anthony, and I never called him ugly, okay? That man had to learn to develop charm for a Jennifer Lopez to look at him. He must have something more than charm, but I'm just being honest. Okay, I'm just like in a society, Dawn and all of us over here, you can hear what I'm saying. I don't believe any of us here believe that going to the plastic surgeon is the thing that's going to change our lives. But the truth is, you and I are old now. Okay. I'm old. Like now, I want a cup of tea. I want clean bed sheets, okay? I don't want nobody opening my fridge. I want to chat with my friend and have a laugh and go to sleep for 8 hours. Like, we are old. And with old age comes what? Wisdom and discernment. So I do not even need to be told that. Because you and I, we get each other. But the young people over there and the people who still have a few visits to the therapist and to meet God, and I don't go and meet God in that way, as in die and go to heaven. You need to have a crisis in your life that will change your mindset and for you to kind of just live, okay? And there are people who are yet to find themselves. They look at Porsha and they think, oh, she's the thing. I look at Porsha and think she's pretty and I move on, okay? Because here's, whilst I say she is pretty and she's a shiny thing, for me, my opinion only, no judgment, she has no character to make anything of mine better. You know how I know she has no character? Because she went and a woman she saw on the show that were friendly, she married the woman's husband barely a month after the man left the relationship. And the man has since come out to tell us, okay, why would you do that? Besides that, she is still the same person on the same show that purported a lie against Candy. Porsha on that show has never shown any accountability towards her actions at all. So while she is pretty, her character isn't matching the shiny thing. The character is in the dumps. And I say this based on what I'm seeing. She may be a good person on to her loved ones, but I don't live with Porsha. I watch Porsha as a character on a show. And as a character, her truer character represented on the show tells me she has no values, as in she has no moral values. And all she cares about is money. And you know how I know she cares about money? Because, and caring about money is not a bad thing, but selling your soul for money, You know how I know that? Because I watched the spin-off show she did with her family. It must have been so bad that her own mother didn't show up for the spin-off, because she was trying to make her baby daddy look like the bad guy. But that guy has some wit to him, so he sidestepped her, and then we saw the true Porsha. So my thing is, I love Porsha for the character she plays on the show, but I'm not taking Porsha about my life. Like, there's nothing about Porsha. If anything, I look at Porsha and I'm like, you can be pretty with all the privilege and yearn for money and still be lost. Because now Porsha is even like lesbian now. Not that I have anything against those, but if you've seen how she's moved, how did we get here, Porsha? How did we get here? So there's something, she has questionable character. So for that reason, she is not the friend that Shamea probably knew. She has changed, and it's taken Shamea a little while to catch up. And the fact that their friendship has collapsed on the show is a realization that people change, and Shamea is in her feelings about it. And yet Porsha is trying to play the victim, and social media is rewarding her as well. That's all. Dawn. When I say we are old, I don't even mean that as a bad thing. I know we are young at whatever age we choose to be, but I mean our mind is old, as in when you've lived and you've had real experience in life, there are some things that you can look above. So never mind. I wasn't calling us old. We're old where? We're not old. But the gray has got to count for something. That's all. Just saying. It is 6:30, people. We've had a laugh, and the cake is melting. Okay? The cake is done, but it's melting. So let's go and leave the cake to chill, okay? There's a reason why I have a scarf, okay? Check the community post for updates about what else happens tomorrow or the day after. We have some red velvet cupcakes to go out on Saturday as well. So I don't know. I'll probably be back. But check the community post, and I'll see you on the next one. Love you lots. Mwah.